Hi, I'm Super Sue Finneron, and this is the Get Your Shit Together podcast / blog or vlog. And of course, SHIT is an acronym for success, health, inspiration, and transformation. And today we are going to talk with Ryan Thorburn about inspiration and transformation and health, actually, and success, really. Ryan, you can capture everything that the Get Your Shit Together podcast is all about, believe it or not.
This could be the last podcast.
He's going to finish it all in one. Ryan is here today, grew up in the Valley, of course, knows tons of people, and has had an effect on so many people's lives. He worked with the BC Ambulance as a paramedic for 15 years. He's been involved with the volunteer fire department, and he's also done rescue missions in Haiti and Japan. So amazing life experiences. Today, though, Ryan is here to talk to us about PTSD. Now, you were mentioning, of course, everybody knows post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah, I think that'll get changed eventually. They have realized that it's not a disorder. It's not something that you'll have to have forever. You can be diagnosed from it and heal from it. So when you are diagnosed by your GP and then a psychiatrist, you can start your treatment and start to heal. It can take a long time. It does take a while because you think you're coping, and you just happen to leave work doing the longest burnout ever and leaving patch on the pavement. So yeah, I didn't mention PTSD first came out as a disorder. Actually, you know what? You can cut that because now I'm remembering. I already said that.
No,
that's part of my the PTSD. I forget things pretty quickly.
We all forget things.
Yeah. Well, I have my problem's actually in the brain. Right. It is a brain injury. It's a moral injury. But if you are always on guard and ready for a disaster to happen, or planning all types of scenarios in your head, when you hear a conversation or somebody says something to you, your amygdala says, hey, that's not a survival thing. So you don't need to remember that. So if it doesn't have something to do with immediate survival, I've had a hard time remembering conversations, and even finishing my own sentences was tough.
Let's just say, Ryan, can you go to the grocery store and grab some milk and some bread and peanut butter?
Yeah.
You might have go to the store and get milk.
Well, I had a hard time going to the grocery store, period. I could go from work to home. So I could go from a place I was trained to deal with things to a place I could hide from things. So to stop at the grocery store or to get gas, any little task that was given to me on the way home, I couldn't do. I had to go home. So. And
how long, Ryan, was the time period when that you were kind of dealing with it, within things such as that?
The toughest time has been the last 4 years. I think that's when everything has sort of come to a head. Everything turned into a textbook description. All the examples that the doctor would ask, I would just be, yep, yes, done it, been there.
Like when he was diagnosing you with PTSD. Let's call it PTSI, because I really like the fact that it's deemed as an injury and that people can recover from it.
Oh, exactly. And guys, I've been to different treatment places, one in Vancouver for 3 months. I also did a week-long retreat in Ottawa for people with PTS, and there was soldiers there, OPP, fire department, and paramedics, and one corrections officer. So they do this. It's called Project Trauma Support. They have 2 retreats a month, one retreat for 10 men and then another retreat for 10 women 2 weeks later. It's not a gender biased injury. It's the people I've talked to, different dispatchers and people I met in Vancouver, have definitely been there.
Yeah.
So,
for me, when I think of PTS, I think of military always comes to mind.
Oh my God.
But we forget that people that are working with BC Ambulance and our corrections officers, that they're affected too. Or even somebody that's been in an abusive relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think some people have an idea that it's something that's made up, that people use it as an excuse.
Definitely.
I'll admit, I think I've met some people that I thought that about, but Ryan recently spoke at our Rotary Club, and he just shed a whole new light on it for me, because I've known Ryan for a long time, and you're always you're always up for anything. You're always a very happy person.
I should be an actor.
Yeah, you really should be, because I never would have known.
No, it's easy to cover up, and then the minute you're alone, it's terrible when you're alone, because that's when your brain starts playing tricks on you. It tells you, it's just the amygdala. If you give it an inch, it'll take a mile. I just have been living in it for so long that things are huge.
Ryan, what do you think was your, I'm going to call it your shit together moment, when you finally said, you know what, I can't deal with this anymore, I need to go and get some help?
Yeah, it was my last call was September 5th last year. It was a messy, terrible call, and I knew when I got there that it was going to be my last call. I'd always thought, my last call is going to be a 2-year-old or something terrible with a child, but this was a young adult, and the girl in question here had a cell phone in her cup holder, and it was ringing and ringing and ringing, and it said MUM on it, and I didn't want to leave it in the cup holder, because the cup holder was filling up with fluids, and I was afraid the iron might connect the call. So I took the phone and put it on the roof of the vehicle, and the whole time I was battling inside. If Janice was phoning, my wife was phoning somebody, her daughter, then she'd want anyone to answer it, and I didn't care at all about BC Ambulance at that point. I knew it was my last. That was it. It was kind of a really, really cool. It was quite a relief to make that decision, and I really battled on answering that phone, and how bad the mom wanted somebody to pick up, because as soon as it went to voicemail, it started ringing immediately again. So it's always those kind of side stories that make me suffer more. Yeah, and obviously you're trained not to answer the phone. Well, we're told not to answer the phone, but as a parent, I went through it over and over and over again, and I still do. I know the right answer was not to answer the phone, but in this small town, I've got a friend who knows the mom, and it's such a small town, and it would have been, it was the right thing to do, but it was tough. Hardest thing to do. Because if I were calling, I'd want anybody to answer. If I was calling for my kids, it's like I'd want the policeman to answer, or the fireman. I want someone to just pick up the damn phone and tell me. Yeah, because you just need to know, the bad news. Yeah. How do you think it affected the people around you, friends, family, that sort of thing? Did they know what you were dealing with? I told them immediately. I had a fairly old psychiatrist at the beginning, well into his 70s, and he immediately diagnosed me with depression and started to drug me, which was, not the right right thing to do. They're even now figuring that serotonin isn't really that relevant with PTS. So I was drugged for a while, told the kids that I had depression, and without explaining too much. So they just know that they need to be walking on eggshells, and nobody should walk on eggshells, right? Janice as well. I could explode for something, just something small.
Yeah.
So it's really hard, and spouses don't really, they know what's going on if the person will talk to them, but like what happened this summer with the OPP officer that shot himself in I think it was July.
Yeah.
His wife was so involved in his treatment, but it didn't matter. It's super hard by people around you. There needs to be something put in place eventually for those people, because you can always come home after being somewhere for treatment and say, oh, I'm doing great, but everyone's still nervous and quiet, and certain things they don't want to say or don't want to trigger anything. So my kids moved out. They grew up and moved out. So
well, and that was kind of the timing of it anyway,
Yeah.
isn't it? Your kids are in their 20s now, aren't they?
Yeah, 25 and 22. Yeah.
A grandpa now. What is
Yes.
she, just over a year old?
Yeah, I guess she's about 13 months. Yeah, she's pretty cool.
Well, and how great that you've been able to get help now so that you can go forward and heal and enjoy her.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to go from possibly not being around at all to being around and try not to bring other people down, it's great to be in treatment and healing.
Did you ever have any thoughts like that, taking your own life?
Not anymore. No, it's the tools in treatment are pretty extreme. We've in Ottawa, we've dealt with a lot of that stuff, and in Vancouver, you really do have to be serious about keeping your mind in shape. And meditating is one of the best things, especially for me, because I've got a gazillion thoughts in my head. Some of them aren't even, like, they don't even have a chance of happening,
Yeah.
I just seen that tree over there, and I thought, oh wow, what if a plane hit that? Well, I'd just run from here to there and quickly start pulling people, so it's just an overactive amygdala, I guess, and a sense of hyper awareness and hyper alert.
You talked about how you just made up worst case scenarios all the time. So you'd basically walk in anywhere, right?
Yeah.
And you'd be making an assessment. And
oh yeah. I've met guys that count their steps in hallways. Those usually firemen. Other people, like the military that I met, when I heard their stories, it made me feel so small. But they look places to hide, places to jump behind, places to, even items to use as tourniquets, things like, they're always assessing different hiding spots, or the guys that I met anyway were terrible.
And you mentioned one of the fellows that you had met in Ottawa. Was it Brock? Was that his name?
Yeah, Brock. He's one that was in the Edmonton community talk or open house with Trudeau.
Right? I'm sure lots of people saw that Facebook video or the video last year.
Yeah.
I might even post a link to it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's good to see him standing up for veterans.
Yeah, and he was 8 years hating himself, hating his military, hating people around him. It's there's just so much blame, hate, the terrible, all the terrible emotions, and they bump away the good ones. And the good ones are way better. That's for damn sure.
Isn't that the truth?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's way better to live in the happy than
Oh
the
yeah,
sad.
yeah, definitely.
Was treatment easy to get? Was it accessible?
Well, I started treatment one year in 2016. I was going to the psychiatrist and I was going to the hospital for community group. And I did all those on my days off. So I didn't tell WorkSafe because I didn't know it was an injury. It was a disorder. So I'm not going to go tell my boss or WorkSafe BC. So when I finally did make a claim, they said it was too late. Was supposed to make a claim within the first year.
Wow.
So yeah, I got turned down for that.
So scared that you might lose your job if you confessed that this is what was going on.
Yeah.
So you did it on your own dollar and on your own time.
Yeah, and same with Ottawa. I just went into the line of credit and they wouldn't cover me for that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just how bad you want to get better. Project Trauma Support in Ottawa, if you're paying for it yourself, they billed me $5,000. And it was the best $5,000 I ever spent. It was, we did meetings and stuff from 7 in the morning, including exercise and stuff, until about 11 o'clock at night.
Wow, hard work.
Yeah, and the guys were still in touch every day. I was just reading we're on WeChat together, so when some of the guys are struggling, they're immediately reachable. You know, they can call out and have somebody answer them.
That's pretty amazing. Like, to have people that are suffering.
Yeah.
To be able to understand, because, like you said, we think we know, but we have no clue as to what's happening for you.
Yeah, it does. So much of it doesn't make sense. Like some of it's irrational. It's like always planning. Even when you fly, you look and pick out the asthmatics or somebody that might have a cardiac problem where you're going to sit. And a lot of times my first reaction was, well, I'm just not going to go and help anybody that, needs it, right? But I mean, obviously I'm going to, but talking that talk upset my wife, Janice, and she didn't like me talking like that. So you're aware. I am good at the job and enjoyed the job itself. But the little things about it, the medical calls were kind of cool. You can really help a lot of people medically. The traumatic calls are if you think about the pathophysiology of a call of a human, that's interesting as well. But when you see things around the call, like pictures on the fridge, or like I said, those Christmas presents up and down the highway, beautifully wrapped from a 20-year-old kid. I mean, like he must have had someone else wrap them or something. They were all wrapped with bows, and I just thought, what a great kid. So yeah, I was just so impressed with him. But that didn't work out for him.
Yeah, just tough. Yeah. But it's interesting what it is that it's not for lack of a better term, the blood and guts of it all.
No. Yeah. It's always the bigger picture. And that's, my imagination has always been pretty vivid. So I've got these, whole stories about the family and all this kind of stuff. And I think, who's not going to make it to Easter or something? And I definitely saw too much and lost the ability to deal properly and relax, let my amygdala shut down, and relax, because a lot of these other guys and women in these services don't lose the skill to cope. I just happen to have lost it. I just let my amygdala take over, lost control of it. Never did feel relaxed, never got into my prefrontal cortex, couldn't relax. Even now when I'm meditating, I'll sit there and I'll put my feet flat on the floor and I'll be like, oh, oh, there's a handprint on the fridge over there, you know, and I'll be like, I should go wipe that, and then I can meditate. So, you know, it's meditating for me. It's really hard, but I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
It pulls me together, makes me into one, you know, one soul kind of thing.
Do you have I know there's a meditation app out there, or there's music, or do you just go silent by yourself and then?
No, I use Headspace. Headspace has a lot of different topics. If something's bothering you, you can find it. The only thing I don't like about Headspace is that I have to have the iPad on, because I like to have music as well. so it's the music's great. I like you know, I like a little bell or a ocean or something.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty nice. I tried to get Janice to meditate with me once, but she didn't put her feet flat on the floor. She kept falling asleep. It was so frustrating. Yeah.
I get fidgety.
Yeah, I do love it, especially, you know, after the half hour or whatever you do. And
did you have to work up to half an hour?
Oh yeah.
So how long could you meditate at first?
Well, we did a lot of 5-minute ones in Ottawa, and 5 minutes can make you feel, you know, just wonderful too. A lot of times I would get panicked out on the street, you know, going to a store, if somebody actually made me go to the store. And so I'd, you know, do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'd look for 5 things and really look at them. I'd hear 4 sounds. I'd feel three something that I can feel. I'd smell 2 things and taste, you know, think about taste for one thing. And that can really bring you back too. A lot of people can tap, or, you know, they can do that kind of thing.
You're refocusing your brain on something else.
Oh yeah, because my brain is crazy. It's,
who's,
you know,
isn't?
at first I didn't want to be diagnosed with a disorder, because I thought, oh great, now my family is like got the full pull of all crazy people, right? But
there is, you know, a lot of stigma around disease,
mental health,
mental health. But I think these days mental health and the importance of mental health is becoming more in the forefront and more accepted, that it's an actual thing that we're dealing with, right?
You know, is it going to be abused? Can it be? It doesn't matter as long as it saves a person.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you know what?
They say 22 first responders a day commit suicide, and
what that's across
in North America.
Wow.
So
22 a day.
Yeah.
What extent do you think being in Haiti and being in Japan after the earthquakes? How?
That was. Japan wasn't so bad. We met the military there, and basically tried to work with them to get up past Fukushima, but the radiation really prevented us from doing that. Japan already had 40,000 medical personnel in the area.
Wow.
So, I mean, Japan didn't need my help.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Haiti, on the other hand, a lot of the stuff I equated with the things I saw in Haiti was the people that died in safe places. In a university, a lot of young adults were killed at their desks. And then I saw a family sitting at the dinner table, and they were pretty flat. The kids were outside playing, because the time of day had a lot of the parents inside still cooking. Kids were outside, and the blocks of concrete blocks fell on them. But their concrete blocks are so sandy that the blocks were just breaking, and usually just giving them like an avulsion or a concussion. People stood in the line, or people walked for a week to get to our clinic, and stood in lines from 7 in the morning till 1:30 in the afternoon when we closed it down, and they never complained. Hard to complain when you see that kind of stuff. And
makes you really appreciate what we have in this country.
Oh yeah. Well, one of my first thoughts, we had rented a Learjet out of Miami to get there, and when the door opened, and I thought, oh wow, I gotta find that place. Because I'm a sandwich fiend. I love sandwiches. And there was no delicatessen anywhere. It was 42 degrees, and it was bodies.
Wow.
It was cured people. Yeah. So I mean, that went from that first half thought to just horror. So
no doubt.
yeah, but we helped a lot of people and delivered a baby the first night. It was, I think the National interviewed me, and they asked me what I thought about the baby's future. And, I didn't want to say anything about cholera or anything like that, but I just said, well, he's really looking good. Yeah.
Do you think that you would go on another mission like that again if it came up?
No, I wouldn't go on another mission. It's, even when I was really at the beginning of my recovery, and someone would say, oh, my son or daughter wants to be a paramedic, and I would just blow my top. I'd be like, no, they cannot be a paramedic. Just do not put them in that business. But then I realized that this injury is my own injury, something that I wasn't dealing with properly, and I may need a ambulance someday when I'm like 88. I don't know.
I like that. That's good.
And I want some people to come. There needs to be new people and new recruits. Same with the disasters in the world. They need to new people all the time are going to volunteer for those.
How can people get help that need it?
Well, I was blown away that I got so much help from my family doctor, because I thought I thought I was sick in the head, so mental health, and I was like, well, my doctor is a GP, so I never thought of going to the doctor at all. So I phoned the employee assistance program. I went to one of those sociologists, and they said, you need to get your butt to the family doctor. And she was like a huge help.
Nice.
I don't know how long doctors make their appointments for, but I don't think we kept a appointment time. Sorry, everybody. But she had all the time in the world, and so then after that, it's your psychiatrist has to diagnose you. It's pretty easy to tell a psychiatrist what they want to hear. They always ask you are you suicidal, and you're like, oh no, I'm not that much. You tend to lie to them too. You don't want to come in as a real broken person on the first appointment. You want to give it to them.
You don't want a bad first date.
Yeah, you want to give them little by little. But I never did tell them the suicidal stuff. It's just mostly, it was a lot of high risk behavior. Yeah. So and then I'm still here. Like, it's like, wow, I set myself up to on these risky things, and pulled them off. So maybe when I'm better, I'll be a stunt man.
I like it.
So yeah.
And Ryan just turned 50 on Saturday, so happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Looking fabulous as ever. Anything else you want to share, or you want to comment on, or tell people?
Oh, probably later when I think of things. I just, PTS is nothing to be ashamed of. It's a moral injury. It's healable. You can try the different meds. Let your doctor give them a try. If they work, they work. I've got a lot of guys in Ottawa do the THC and CBD. I find that they're a lot slower to recover than the others that haven't, medicated that way. You need to be ready. You need to be ready to heal and tell the psychologist, the psychiatrist. You need to be able to open up, talk to them and your family. Yeah. So you definitely has to be. You have to be committed to making that step to heal. So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you did. I'm glad that you're here. And also, thank you so much for sharing your story with me and everybody else that's watching. And I have no doubt that there's going to be some people out there that hopefully will stand up and go,
Yeah.
me,
Yeah. Oh,
and I need help.
Yeah, we are starting a group too.
Oh, okay,
That's
excellent.
right. It's going to start in September.
Yep.
Because of the summer. It'll be Thursday nights at in one of the boardrooms at the MNP office. It'll be men and women. Anyone that's been diagnosed with PTSD. We are going to be meeting under the banner of Project Trauma Support in Ottawa. There's a bit of a guideline to the meetings, but people will know that they're not alone. They can meet other people and share something that might have worked in the past for them.
And I'll try and put some links into the bottom of this if you're watching it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And you can find Ryan on Facebook.
Yeah.
Ryan Thorburn. So I'll link him as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you so much, Ryan.
Yeah. Oh, no problem.
And thank you to all of you for taking the time to listen and watch the Get Your Shit Together moment.
Got my shit together.
You have.
Yeah, slowly.